The secret bunker beneath the school. The first time Alex heard the noise, it was just past midnight. The old high school stood silent under the weight of sleep. Every hallway steeped in darkness, every classroom locked and forgotten. But from his place on the night shift, sitting half asleep in the security office, fluorescent lights buzzing faintly overhead, Alex heard it. A low, metallic thud. Deep beneath him. He froze. The cameras showed nothing unusual. Empty corridors, motionless stairwells. But the sound echoed again, heavier this time, like iron scraping against concrete. Like a door. Alex stood, heart quickening. He'd been working security here for 3 months. The building had its noises, pipes, creaks, wind pushing against old windows. But this wasn't that. This was underground. He hesitated only a second before grabbing his flashlight. The hallway swallowed him in cold. Something about night schools always felt wrong, too quiet, too dead. His boots echoed against the linoleum floor. The sound had come from near the old science wing, a part of the building barely used anymore. Most of it was sealed. Most of it. As he passed room 2C, the overhead light flickered, not like a dying bulb, but like something had passed directly beneath it. The air grew colder, and then the smell. Rust. But not just rust. Blood. Old. Metallic. Thick. It hit the back of his throat like a warning. Alex reached the stairwell at the end of the wing. A rusted sign hung loose. Authorized personnel. Only maintenance access. He'd never gone down here before. Below these stairs was supposed to be nothing. Pipes, storage, electrical panels. But tonight, there was air moving. Cold air. Coming up from below. He gripped the handrail and descended. Every step creaking louder than it should. The smell grew stronger. Metal, mold, damp concrete, and something else. Something like old fire. Burnt hair. Skin. The stairs ended at a huge steel door. Unmarked. Old. It shouldn't be here, but it was. Fresh scrape marks scarred the floor in front of it like it had been forced open recently. Alex's flashlight flickered as he leaned closer. A word was faintly etched into the door, barely visible under years of grime. Bunker. His breath misted in the freezing air. Somewhere behind that door, something moved. Scraping metal. And then, 3 slow knocks from the other side. Alex stared at the steel door, heart hammering so hard it felt like it echoed in the narrow stairwell. 3 knocks. Deliberate, measured, human, or not. He should have left, called someone, pretended he never came down here, but instead, his hand moved, almost against his will. The thick iron handle was ice cold. Layers of rust flaked beneath his fingers. For a second, nothing happened. Then, click. Unlocked. No school should have a door like this, no reason for it to open so easily. But it did, and as it creaked inward, releasing a waft of freezing, bitter air, Alex's flashlight revealed a tunnel, descending sharply. Old, concrete walls stretched into darkness, lined with thick cables and rusted pipes. Water dripped steadily from somewhere unseen. The sound echoed unnaturally, like it wasn't just bouncing off walls, but traveling through something vast, something hollow. A bunker, hidden beneath a high school. Alex stepped inside. Instantly, the temperature dropped. The scent hit him harder here. Rot, mold, something chemical, and beneath it all, the coppery sting of old blood. His boots splashed in shallow, icy water that covered the floor. Ahead, the tunnel curved left, disappearing out of view. Faintly, something buzzed. Electrical. A low, broken hum coming from deep within. Suddenly, lights flickered above. Old, emergency lights strung along the ceiling. But they didn't just turn on. They pulsed in sequence, as if reacting to his presence. Leading him in, Alex's breath fogged the air. His footsteps were the only sound until he passed a wall smeared with something dark. Not paint, handprints. Hundreds of them. Small, children's handprints. Pressed into the concrete as if in panic. Dragging downward. Away from the tunnel, as if trying to get out. His stomach turned. What the hell was this place? Then a sound. Behind him. Wet. Slow. Like footsteps. But heavier. Deliberate. Alex spun flashlight beam cutting through the foggy air, but nothing was there, except a trail. Water disturbed. Fresh. Whatever it was down here. And it wasn't far. Ahead, the tunnel opened into a massive underground chamber. Rows of metal doors stretched along the walls. Cells. And every door had a small, rusted window at eye level. Most were dark, except one. A faint glow pulsed from within. Slow. Rhythmic. Alex stepped closer. The light wasn't electric, it was moving, like bioluminescence. Or breathing. He peered inside, and what he saw made his blood turn cold. Something was watching him. Its eyes reflected the light. Wide. Too wide. Human. But impossibly wrong. Its mouth moved slow, wet syllables forming on broken lips, a whisper scraping against the window. 2 words. Barely audible. Help me. Alex staggered back from the tiny window. Whatever that thing was, it looked human, but its skin was pale, almost translucent, stretched too tight across sharp bones. Its eyes didn't blink. They only stared. Wide. Empty. Trapped. Help me! It rasped again, the voice barely human, as if unused for years. Or decades. Alex's mind raced. Was this a prank? Some derelict homeless person? But no. There were dozens of cells. Some dark, some not. Further down the row, another door rattled violently, something slamming against the metal from the inside. Hard. Thud. Thud. The sound echoed in the dead space of the bunker. Then another door, then another. One after another, like a chain reaction awakened by his presence. The air grew suffocating. Heavy. Cold with damp decay, but now also vibrating with movement. Whatever was locked down here, it wasn't asleep anymore. Alex backed away, heart pounding like a war drum. His flashlight passed over peeling metal signs bolted to the wall. Faded words barely readable under layers of rust. Phase 2 subject containment authorized research personnel only. Property of Harper Institute do not remove. Harper Institute? There was no record of anything like that in this town. No mention in the school's history. And yet here it was, beneath the very building where kids went to class every day. He should have left. But ahead, the humming returned. Stronger now. A pulsing, low-vibration electric coming from the heart of the bunker. Curiosity pulled him forward. Fear kept him moving slow. At the far end of the chamber stood a large metal door different from the cell doors. Modern, newer. It glowed faintly at its seams, like light was leaking from the other side. A control panel blinked steadily beside it. Operational. That made no sense. This place looked abandoned for decades. Cautiously, Alex pressed a finger to the screen. Static. Then, voice recognition required. A sharp chill crawled down his spine. A voice broke the silence directly behind him. Soft. Female. I wouldn't do that! He spun. A woman stood barely a few feet away. Late 40s, white lab coat stained with something dark. Her face pale, gaunt, hollow-eyed. He hadn't heard her approach. I know why you're here, she whispered. Everyone comes eventually. Alex tried to speak, but the words stuck in his throat. What? Is this place? He managed. She smiled weakly. It wasn't a kind smile. This? She gestured slowly around them. This was never a school. A pause. Not really. Behind her, something large shifted in the shadows. A wet, dragging sound, and a low, rasping breath. Not hers. Something else. Something massive. Still unseen, but moving closer. Very close-eyed. They called home.
Alex took a step back. The woman in the lab coat didn't even flinch. Her sunken eyes stayed fixed on him like she'd seen this exact moment 1,000 times before. What do you mean? Alex whispered. This was never a school? She tilted her head almost gently. This building was a mask, she said quietly. A cover for something older, something the town forgot. Behind her, that wet, dragging sound grew louder, like something pulling its body over cold concrete. Slow, deliberate, not rushing, not needing to, because it knew there was nowhere to run. The woman stepped aside, and for the first time, Alex saw it. Emerging from the deeper tunnel was something that might have once been human long, long ago. Its skin sagged and hung in patches like melted wax. Its limbs were twisted, elongated unnaturally, knuckles dragging across the floor. Its head lolled slightly to one side, neck broken or deformed. But its eyes, those black, wet pits, were locked onto Alex, unblinking, watching. "Meet Subject 12, the woman said flatly. One of the first. Alex felt ice crawl through his veins. What? What happened to them? She exhaled slowly. Harper Institute happened. They built this place in the 1950s. Genetic trials, human enhancement, sensory isolation, neurological rewriting. Her voice lowered. They were trying to create something better. The creature's mouth pulled open impossibly wide, revealing teeth like broken glass set in diseased flesh. But they made monsters. Alex stumbled back only to feel something hard against his shoulder. Another door, another cell. This one had a window smashed out from the inside. Whatever was in there had gotten out. Suddenly alarms. Not loud, not sharp. A low, droning pulse began to echo through the tunnels. The woman's face darkened. "They've activated the wake cycle," she whispered. Alex stared at her. "They?" She looked directly at him. The others. Far down the tunnel's doors began to unlock. One by one, heavy metal bolts sliding free. Clank, clank, clank. Cells unsealing in a slow, horrifying wave. And from the darkness, shapes began to move. Some crawling, some staggering, some unnaturally still, until their heads snapped towards him in perfect unison. Eyes catching the dim light like insects. Hundreds of them. Children. Adults. Mutated. Broken. Twisted by decades of experiments. Awake. Hungry. And Alex realized the most terrifying thing of all. They weren't trapped in here with him. He was trapped in here with them.
Alex turned and ran. The sounds behind him were beyond nightmare. Wet limbs scraping, bones cracking, low-throated clicking, sounds vibrating from creatures that should not exist. The woman didn't follow. She just stood there, staring after him, almost relieved. Like she knew no one ever made it far. Alex sprinted deeper into the bunker. Past the cells, past the twisted figures slowly unfolding themselves from the shadows. He reached a heavy blast door, half open, its hydraulic locks sparking weakly. Whatever happened here, systems were failing. Lights above flickered chaotically, bathing the tunnel in frantic flashes. The slick trail of blood winding down the hall. A mutilated child-sized silhouette standing perfectly still, something crawling on the ceiling. Through the door, Alex burst into a wide control chamber. Rows of shattered monitors, broken glass, and along the walls photographs, old, faded, pinned beneath layers of dust. Children in hospital gowns, doctors with blank name tags, test numbers instead of names. And in the center of it all, a single intact monitor, humming faintly. It displayed a logo, Harper Institute Human Optimization Division. Below it, a list of active subjects, hundreds of ID codes, many marked terminated, many more marked missing. But at the very top, in bright, pulsing red, Subject 0 status, unknown. Alex's eyes moved to a smaller screen beside it, a surveillance feed, a camera pointing upward toward a stairwell. Not down here, but above. His stomach dropped. It was live. Footage from the school gymnasium, empty bleachers. But movement. A figure standing alone in the center of the gym, facing the camera. Still. Too still. Alex leaned closer. It was the principal, Mr. Grayson. But his face, It didn't move right. His body twitched subtly, like muscles pulling against invisible strings. And then his head snapped toward the camera, as if he saw Alex watching. Straight into the lens. Straight into him. And he smiled. Wide, wrong. Behind Alex, a whispering sound. Not language. A wet, layered clicking. Thousands of voices layered atop one another, slowly rising, growing closer. The monitors around him began to flicker violently, lines of corrupted text pouring down, words repeating over and over. We see you, we. Remember, you are part of this now. Alex turned toward a narrow stairwell marked Research Core Level 5. His only way out. Or maybe deeper in. But he didn't have a choice. Behind him, a low, gurgling moan rolled through the darkness. Closer. Much closer. As he ran, the old speaker systems crackled to life overhead, filling the bunker with a voice warped by age and decay. Distorted, but unmistakably human. Principal Grayson. Calm, patient, and horrifyingly certain. Once you enter Harper's care, you never really leave. The stairwell to level 5 was narrower, older, different. The walls here were rough, almost organic, as if poured concrete had given way to something deeper. Natural rock or something carved by hand long before the bunker was ever built. The air was thick with moisture and rot. Every breath felt like inhaling something alive. Alex descended. One flight, then another. There were no more lights, only the distant hum of something ancient, breathing. The final landing opened into a vast subterranean chamber, a dome of stone, black and glistening like wet obsidian. The space pulsed faintly, with a strange, sourceless light blue and sickly, like veins glowing beneath skin. In the center stood an archive. Rows of filing cabinets, microfilm readers, ancient tape decks, a grotesque hybrid of analog machinery fused with flesh-like cables that pulsed as if pumping blood. And behind it all, a wall of faces. Dozens of photographs. Hundreds. Pinned and preserved. Untouched by time. Each labeled. Each marked with a subject code. Some crossed out. Some burned. But many still clean. One photo stopped Alex cold. It was him, as a child, no older than 10, staring back with confused eyes. A hospital gown, electrodes on his head, subject code H473. He staggered back, blood draining from his face. This was impossible. He'd never been here before. Never. But memories flickered like static in his mind. Needles, rooms with no windows. A lullaby playing from a broken speaker. A woman screaming. He collapsed to his knees. Everything he believed about his life was shattering, and somewhere in the distance, a low-frequency tone began to rise. The archive lit up, machines activating on their own. The old tape spun. Screens flickered. And a voice came through the speaker's mechanical, fractured like it was stitched together from hundreds of other voices. Subject H473A returned to site. Reintegration sequence initiated. Welcome home. The lights flared. And something opened behind the archive. A long, narrow hallway that hadn't been there before. Wet footprints led inside. His own. Already there. Already waiting. Alex rose, trembling. Whatever this place was, it hadn't just found him. It had brought him back. He was never meant to escape the Harper Institute, because he had never really left. From the hallway, a soft, childlike voice echoed. His own voice. You forgot us, Alex. Then the lights died, and everything turned black. Darkness pressed in like a living thing. Alex stood motionless, the cold eating into his bones. The only sound was his ragged breathing and the faint, wet clicking echoing from the tunnel ahead. He clicked his flashlight. Nothing. Dead. Then a pulse of light from the floor. Lines began to glow beneath the grime, bioluminescent symbols and circuitry etched into the stone itself, leading forward, guiding him, or summoning him. The corridor was narrow. The walls dripped with condensation, covered in symbols carved deep and old, far older than the Harper Institute. Older than concrete, older than the town above, the smell changed. Gone was the blood and rot. Now it was sweet, rotten fruit, decay masking something alive. At the end of the corridor stood a tall, circular vault door, unlike the rest of the facility, obsidian black, covered in handprints. Tiny, child-sized, some moving, faintly, twitching against the surface. Alex's body acted before his mind could stop it. He reached out, and the door breathed open. Inside, silence, and a void. A space so vast and dark it felt endless, but in the center, a single figure, floating, suspended in a column of liquid. Pale, skin, no hair, eyes closed. Not aged, not young. Perfect. The body twitched as he entered. Lights flickered above, revealing walls lined with monitors, wires, and decaying scientists' notes still scrawled across dusty glass. Words repeated again and again. Subject 0 Unity Experiment. Do not awaken failed containment. 12-9-91 Collective Memory Retention. Active. A file lay open on the nearest desk. It bore Alex's name. Not just his mother's. Her signature. Next to a sentence that made his hands shake. Voluntary surrender of offspring for long-term cognitive assimilation testing. He wanted to scream, but a voice cut through the silence. Not from the monitors, not from the air, from inside his head. They broke me to build you. The liquid-filled chamber cracked. Hairline fractures raced across its surface. They erased me so you could forget. Alex backed away as the figure's eyes opened. Pure black, endless. But I remember. The tank shattered. The liquid exploded outward, drowning the room in freezing fluid. The figure fell, but landed gracefully, as if gravity didn't fully apply. It looked at Alex. No malice. Just inevitability. We are the same. The lights died, and in the pitch black, Alex felt it something entering his mind, flooding it with memories not his own. Children screaming. Dozens of versions of himself. Living, dying, replaced, all leading to this moment. Subject 0 reached out, their fingers touched, and reality fractured. Pain. A deep, splitting, psychic pain that tore through Alex like glass dragged across his nerves. He wasn't just seeing memories, he was living them. Thousands of fragments stitched together in one blinding, collapsing second. Metal tables, needles digging into his skull, screams echoing in sealed rooms, other children staring with empty eyes, himself, again and again, dying in ways he couldn't comprehend, all part of a cycle. A loop. The Institute never wanted a better human. They wanted one human, one mind, made from many. And Alex had always been the vessel. He dropped to his knees as Subject 0 stood above him, black eyes filled with something ancient, a voice now inside him, not one, but many, hundreds layered into one thought. They fractured me to study the pieces. You are all of them, the final form. The chamber's walls began to pulse. The monitors came alive. Each one now showed Alex's face. All of them. Different versions. Some younger, some older, some disfigured, all watching, whispering. In perfect, overlapping unity, join us. Complete the mind. Alex tried to fight, to scream, but something was already happening to his body. His skin shimmered, flickering like a projection losing sync. Veins turned black beneath the surface. His eyes blurred, then sharpened. He felt memories that weren't his flood into him. He understood languages he'd never heard, saw faces he'd never known, and missed them. He was becoming, not a person, a hive. The Institute's final experiment was never meant to be controlled, only contained, and now it was loose. Far above, in the school gymnasium, the lights exploded. Students screamed as walls peeled like paper, revealing black tunnels pulsing beneath. Principal Grayson stood still, smiling, eyes empty, and then, without warning, he collapsed. His body imploded inward like a punctured balloon, because his purpose was complete. Subject 0 had awakened. Deep below, Alex rose from the floor. No longer just Alex. Not just Subject H473A. He was all of them now, and he smiled. Behind him, the walls began to split. From every dark corner, they came the other subjects, now drawn to their center, their origin, their core. They stood behind him, silent, waiting, and in one voice they spoke, "The Institute is dead." But we are not. Above ground, the school shook, and then the earth opened. The Harper Institute had returned to the surface, and it was hungry.